Let's go, Mike. How we feeling out there? You got the spirit? We got 60 seconds. Woo! You ready to be the difference, baby? Let's go. Once again, my name is DJ Milk, and welcome to the Push Building Block Breakfast. Let us begin.
We are Push Buffalo, a community-based organization that is multi-ethnic, multi-gendered, multi-generational. We have been here for 15 years, strong, because when people show up, we have real power, and we've been building that power to own our resources, to control our resources. We build affordable housing. We own our energy futures through renewable energy. We put people to work of and from our communities. In this moment, everyone needs to recognize that we will not be distracted. We will not be moved from the mission that we've been serving at the intersections of racial, economic, and environmental injustice in our community. What sets us apart, people in this community are rebuilding their own neighborhoods, and we do that by rooting in love, justice, and healing. Don't push Buffalo!
Welcome to this year's Building Blocks Breakfast in honor of 15 years of Push Buffalo. This year's breakfast is a little different. One, we're seeing you a little after noonish, right? And we saw a group earlier today. We're also meeting virtually, and we're missing everyone's hugs, but we are all together with safety and health in mind. Thank you for joining us, and we're so glad you could be with us. If you've joined us before, you're familiar with our paper donor cards. Some of you have already received them in the mail. Feel free to fill them out and send them in with your donation. Or go to our website or the link that you can find today in the chat box to donate. We appreciate your support so much. And if you've already sent in your donation, thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got a great lineup today with members of Push staff, the Push community, and some very special guests. So let's get started with the Executive Director of Push Buffalo, Rahwa Ghirmatzion.
Thank you, DJ Milk. You always bring the energy and the joy. We love you. And we love Ujima Company for allowing us use of their beautiful theater space today for our 10th annual Building Blocks Breakfast. Welcome and good morning to some, good afternoon to others. Although I would much rather be in person with you, it is nonetheless wonderful to share this virtual space and see the faces of many friends and supporters. I want to give a shout out to Emily Louie, our fabulous donor engagement specialist. She works so hard, she does it so brilliantly and so effortlessly. Ben Siegel, who stepped up to help our efforts this year, the countless Push staff and the development committee that made all of this happen. It is a privilege to be part of your team. I am thankful to my family and care team for allowing me to do what I love in the pursuit of building the beloved community. Whew. To say that this year has been challenging is an understatement. The pandemic has laid bare the inequities that exist across the nation and what our communities already knew when PUSH was founded 15 years ago by Aaron Bartley and Eric Walker. It started with a collective dream for what and how to revitalize the Lower West Side neighborhood. The beliefs, values, goals, and strategies at the core of the organization are still what governs this organization and has made our solution-oriented results internationally recognized. We believe that real people have real power. We know what we want where we live. And when it comes to churning our neighborhoods around, we're all in this together. Our values center member involvement. We base our decisions on member participation and consideration of alternatives. We're inclusive. We encourage a diversity of opinions. We believe in ownership to take advantage of opportunities to create control and community resources. We are results-oriented. Our plan is an accomplishment. We have outlined a series of measurable goals and outcomes that will ultimately lead to the results we want. We remain relevant. We will respond to changing political and social climates by evaluating the trends that are prevalent on the goals and objectives of the organization. We are firmly rooted in justice, promoting social justice that gives real power to real people. We set real goals to create strong neighborhoods, develop neighborhood leaders, decrease the rate of housing abandonment, and create a solar future independent of utilities. We have sound strategies to build a more democratic, action-oriented organization that addresses poor housing conditions and the lack of living wage jobs in our community. We lead direct action campaigns against corporations and agencies whose practices contribute to the high poverty rate in our neighborhoods. To create a replicable model of grassroots neighborhood organizing and redevelopment that can be deployed in low-income communities across the Rust Belt and the nation. We have certainly grown a lot over the last 15 years, rooted in the resolve of the real people with local knowledge and expertise that created the plan that we have grown, iterated, and evolved, each success creating new opportunities to deepen our impact. This looks like our new economy strategies of building the local, living, loving economy rooted in collective solidarity and mutuality. Creative placemaking and anti-displacement strategies that harness our cultures and traditions as tools for change and healing. We work in collaboration with coalitions at all levels to build collective power on multi-issue campaigns that center equity and drive resources to underinvested in communities. The Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act alone that we passed last year will bring roughly $7 billion in investments to disadvantaged communities across New York State to transition to a clean energy economy. We've expanded the Green Development Zone from 25 to 50 blocks. In 2020, with the expansion of the Green Development Zone, we experienced challenges with rapidly changing neighborhoods and doubled down on our organizing to engage more deeply with residents on those blocks. We've completed pre-development activities to build a 49-unit net zero energy, affordable and supportive housing project. And plans are underway to build a net zero energy, sustainable workforce training center that would provide access to employment and training and workforce opportunities in emerging renewable energy sectors like rooftop solar, geothermal, community solar subscription management. And of course, the pandemic, which has exacerbated historic inequities, is not the only crisis that we faced in 2020. With the murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and many countless Black souls, the racial uprisings did not spare Buffalo. Instead, we made national news due to the use of force by our militarized police. The world witnessed 75-year-old Martin Gugino, a beloved PUSH member, a social and peace activist, pushed by police during a nonviolent march in the movement for Black lives. At PUSH, in this beloved city we call home, we stepped up with support and showed up for each other and for those brave souls that demonstrated on the front lines, in the streets, seeking justice. In March, as the coronavirus infection rates spiraled out of New York and New York State, and Governor Cuomo imposed a New York pause eviction executive order, PUSH pivoted and launched a COVID-19 mutual aid effort that reset funding priorities and redeployed existing staff capacity to manage several frontline emergency direct services. Our core beliefs always guiding us to be relevant and responsive to our community needs. And when I say that we're all in this together, believe me, we could not have mobilized without the generous support of our funding partners, individual donors, and volunteers. Special shout out to the Solutions Project for providing self-care grants to the organizations on the front lines providing mutual aid. At PUSH, we know that we are the solutions that we are searching for, and we are prepared to continue to lead in a changing climate by building more community power and community resilience. We've been hard at work on many projects and commitments. Here is our Deputy Director of Movement Building, Harper Bishop, and many in the PUSH community to share just a few of them with you.
We know that our frontline communities face unprecedented threats through structural inequities in our economic system and gaping holes in our social safety net. As the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these inequities and brought them to a crisis point this past spring, PUSH Buffalo took immediate emergency action. The mutual aid program became a reality because of the flexibility, agility, and willingness of our staff to do what was right and what was needed in a moment of economic hardship and during a global pandemic. It also harkens back to our founding philosophy. We know what we want where we live. The community's marching orders to us were crystal clear. Through mutual aid, we were able to provide food for approximately 3,500 families, $26,000 to local cooperatives and small businesses, $58,000 in direct support to 164 households for things like rent and utilities, delivery or access to prescriptions, transportation, financial support for healthcare, household supplies, technology, legal and social services, nutritional needs, and more. Rent relief to our 99 residential and 5 commercial tenants. Total relief was over $100,000, and we qualified for $46,500 in pass-through funding to other local organizations. Regardless of the COVID-19 pandemic, we continued to show up. We rolled up our sleeves and we got to work. Here's just a few of the projects that we'll be highlighting this morning that we're most excited about. Since PUSH's inception 15 years ago, we've been visible throughout the community, in the streets, knocking on doors, and engaging with community members about their greatest needs. One thing that we've heard over and over, time and time again, is the need for quality, affordable housing. Currently, PUSH has 99 units of affordable housing, but we're excited to be working on our biggest project yet, 49 units of high-quality, sustainable, affordable housing. We're calling the project West Side Homes. We're also partnering with Best Self Behavioral Health to designate 30% of the apartments for homeless individuals and families with a substance use disorder or severe mental illness. We currently have over 600 households on our waiting list, and new families are applying every day. With the impending eviction crisis, we know that affordable housing is more important now than ever before.
Before moving to School 77, I was living on the east side where I'd been for 25 years. After being evicted from a place where I was for 7 years, the house was sold. I moved to an apartment in the back of a church, and the minister was the renter. It turned out to be horrible. The minister was just about money. The apartment was a disaster. There was no heat for 2 weeks, no furnace. There was no hot water for a month. And so I heard about PUSH and put an application in November of 2018. The situation here at PUSH is terrific. You know, and just for, you know, a radical change in my own situation. And I think, considering the conditions in our society for push to expand and to offer more housing, is just a great thing. And I hope that they just continue to grow, you know.
We recognize that there is an economic shift underway towards an economy that is community controlled, just, and sustainable. We're proud to be amongst those who are creating the new economy here in Buffalo, New York. Worker cooperatives can provide living wage jobs, generate and retain community wealth, and cultivate leadership in communities most affected by inequality. That's why PUSH decided to collaborate with Cooperation Buffalo, an organization I'm proud to have co-founded. Through education, business training and incubation, programs like the Cooperative Academy through Cooperation Buffalo grow worker cooperatives, which create a sustainable economy for all of us.
We are starting a Black-owned credit union here in Buffalo. We decided to embark on this journey about 6 months ago in June, right around the time when there was a lot of political and social unrest surrounding George Floyd's death and murder. And we were both looking for ways to make impact in our community and make a change within our community. And my sister came up with the idea of starting a Black-owned credit union, a way for our communities to give back, or a way for us to give back to our community, for us to have ownership within our communities through home equity, and build generational wealth, as well as learn different financial products that are available to people of color within the community.
What we've learned from being a part of the Cooperative Academy over these past few weeks has been a wealth of knowledge, things that you just couldn't learn in a four-year school. I mean, it would have taken us much longer time to actually have grown and developed the way we have.
Truth is, with our co-op, we are building the community and we're giving them back their financial power. Through a credit union, that's essentially what we're doing. We're inviting our members to become a part of something that's so much bigger than themselves. We're inviting them to create generational wealth. We're inviting them to take back their financial power and learn how to create, build, invest. And we believe that most of the co-ops in the academy are doing the same thing. We're all looking to give our community back their power, back the wealth that is in our communities, but for some reason, maybe we've gotten away from that concept. So with building co-ops in Buffalo, that's essentially what we're doing. We're looking to strengthen our communities and build them back up.
271 Grand Street originally served as a public library and was unfortunately closed due to budgetary constraints in December 2005. With the help of the City Council member David Rivera, the building reopened in 2006 as a nonprofit incubator for two community development organizations, the Massachusetts Avenue Project, or MAP, and PUSH Buffalo. In 2009, 271 Grand Street became the home of the Grand Street Neighborhood Center, or GSNC. The Grand Street Neighborhood Center's mission is to provide an open, safe, and productive community space with resources and programs that respond to express community needs. 271 Grand Street is currently undergoing much-needed updates to the building, including making it handicap accessible. However, we've recently relaunched programs from PUSH's HQ in School 77 in a way that is safe for everyone. In the midst of a global pandemic, the GSNC has more activities, offerings, and classes than ever before.
The GSNC is home. It's home away from home. And the reason why it's important is because it's what the community asks for. So every day we try to meet the young people where they're at and give them programming that can help them grow into caring community members. In the 14213, we have some of the severest poverty rates, not only in Buffalo, but in all of Western New York. We also have some of the lowest academic and graduation rates in all of Buffalo. But that doesn't quite paint the picture clearly. Imagine coming from a new country where you have to learn a new language and you have to forge a new identity. Imagine your parents finally settling down, getting you a house, providing you with clothes, and sending you off to school to get an education so that you can better your life. And as soon as you walk through the door, they make fun of you for what you wear, for what you look like, and how you talk. Now imagine coming home and walking through a door where you're greeted with a smile and you're greeted with people that care about you. And if they don't speak the language, they can find somebody who can speak the language and can help tutor you and help open a new pathway so that you can forge your own identity, so that you can make mistakes and can ask questions in a safe environment, and that you can actually truly envision a better future for you and your family. At PUSH, the GNC represents a seed. It represents hope, and it represents the future. Not only in our mission do we wish to mobilize residents to create strong neighborhoods, but we wish to mobilize our youth. The youth's voice is often the most marginalized in any development process. And so we want to bring their voice into this process, and we want to help usher them into the process so when they become adults, they can carry on the torch that we started here today.
Thank you, Harper, and everyone for the informative and inspiring update. Lots of great work going on here in our community. Next, I would like you to welcome PUSH Street Team member Nyasia, who will share some words with you about this year's theme, Solidarity Amidst Crisis.
All right, thank you, Milk, for the beautiful introduction. I have a story to share with everyone today. It was early May last year when I would receive a call from my sister that would change the trajectory of my life forever. Spring was in full bloom, the sun had finally thawed out my sleepy city, and the season was lush with promise. Dad called me. Daisy's dead. It felt as though my heart collapsed in my chest, and I crumbled there on the sidewalk, and I cradled my daughter in my arms. I can't remember if I cried, the shock of it all fully absorbed in the hollows of my ribcage. She had just celebrated her 23rd birthday. It was a suicide. Instead of going to the playground that afternoon, we stopped at a little restaurant across the street. And over lunch, I heard the owner lamenting that she might have to shut down if she couldn't find someone to work the grill during the day. And with no formal kitchen experience, I volunteered. It would be at that job that I would meet Aaron Bartley. And although I had no idea his part in founding PUSH at the time, our children just got along very well. It ended up in me being here today. We buried my baby cousin shortly after Mother's Day. It was the first time my family had been together in years. There are people from all over the country that shared our grief and loss. Daisy spent the last 2 years of her life on the road, choosing to find communities on the fringes of a society that had rejected her. She struggled with her demons and her addictions, specifically heroin. But that girl was magic in motion. She turned her darkness inwards and poured out nothing but light. She saw the beauty in people that our world discards. She'd give the clothes off her back if you needed it. Our family lived in poverty. Gang and police violence was the norm for us. Our parents grew up with the crack epidemic of the 80s, and still today we feel the grips of the opioid crisis spurred by big pharma corporations that dismissed the addictiveness of the pain medications they were marketing. And last year, 72,000 people died from an overdose. The trauma endured by my family for generations as Puerto Ricans, who are the product of violent white imperialism, indigenous erasure, and slavery, became our burdens. But the system did not see the light in her. Juvie was their answer, and I can promise you it didn't do her any good. Children in prisons. It happens in your own backyard. Midsummer, I was determined to push myself out of my comfort zones. I was struggling with depression and substance abuse on and off. I had troubles connecting with people and making friends, so I decided to go to a club with a coworker. The flower arrangement at the steakhouse I bartended that day was daisies. In the whole year and a half I've been there, it was never daisies, and it hadn't been daisies since. But it was that night, across the street from the venue that we were attending, there were 4 people around my age with dogs and a banjo, obviously homeless. People were just walking by. My coworker said it was the funniest thing she'd ever seen. She noticed I was missing and walked outside to find me sitting on the ground, petting the dogs, and sharing a 40 with those people. I had given them all the money in my wallet and mentioned that my cousin used to fly. That's what they call it when they go out with their signs and try to scrounge up a couple of bucks. He asked me who my cousin was, and when I told him, he grabbed me by the arms. He gave me the biggest hug that I had ever gotten. And he said, "I am so sorry." They all knew her, and they all loved her. So I brought them all home with me, and they stayed for a couple of weeks, and all my coworkers thought I was crazy. But I knew their stories. I heard their stories. I held space for their grief, and many of them, they were running away from abusive homes and had nowhere to go, so they stuck together. But it was, it was incredible, her gift at bringing people together. Daisy's death wasn't the only one rocking this community of wayward souls. One woman had lost custody of her child and 13 friends just that year, and it was only June. The American dream is so well marketed. With enough hard work, you can overcome any obstacle in your life, right? And so we dismiss the humanity that lies within the mentally ill, the addicted, the homeless, and the abused. If COVID showed us anything, it is that we are only a couple of paychecks away from being just like them. In a world that puts profits over people, it's important to ask ourselves, am I really working harder than everyone else around me? Or is it a string of privilege and opportunities that I had that are just not accessible to people when education, food, clean water, shelter, and physical and mental wellness care is locked behind insurance and paywall premiums? And of course, white supremacist ideals. I don't want to live in a world that continues to push those in poverty into prisons, the military, or an early grave. I don't want to live in a world that continues to destroy our earth for a buck. Stop telling your depressed friends to just get over it. Stop labeling us as junkies and criminals. Enough with the color blindness. See me. The obsession with crime and punishment is too much to bear sometimes. So I ask, will you challenge yourself to break bread with a stranger and share the true weight of their world? And in those moments of vulnerability, in our ever unfolding present, find that light again. I don't want to live in a world where you only matter if you are making at least 3 figures. No, I want to live in Daisy's world. Thank you.
Nyasia, thank you for sharing those words. Those are some real words right there, people. This is why we are here. So we also have some very special guests today. I'd like to introduce Mark Ruffalo, our first special guest. He is an Emmy winner. He's not only one of Hollywood's most sought-after he's not one of sought-after actors. He is also committed to advocate and organize for community and environmental justice. Ruffalo received the Global Green Millennium Award for environmental leadership, the Mira Gandhi Giving Back Foundation Award, Foundation Award, and in 2011 was named one of Time Magazine's People Who Mattered. His organization, especially his work with the Solutions Project, I apologize, let me just back up for a second. I was so just moved by that story, and it just took me a minute, and I feel bad because I'm not getting Mark Ruffalo the right introduction, but those words about our young people and homelessness and what they go through, I'm just taking 2 seconds to marinate. Let me back up. One of our special guests today is Mark Ruffalo. Our first special guest is an Emmy winner. He's not only one of Hollywood's most sought-after actors, he is also a committed advocate and organizer for community and environmental justice. Ruffalo received the Global Green Millennium Award for environmental leadership, the Mira Gandhi Giving Back Foundation Award for environmental, and in 2011 was named one of Time Magazine's People Who Mattered. His work with the Solutions Project advocates on behalf of climate justice organizations, especially those led by women of color, including Push Buffalo. Please welcome Mark Ruffalo.
Thank you. Hello, Push Buffalo. It's a pleasure to join you today from the ancestral lands of the Lenape people in Sullivan County, New York, and to lend my voice to the remarkable work you guys have been doing in Buffalo. As you may know, I'm a big, huge fan of Push and my sister Rahwa. Here at the Solutions Project, we believe in a world created by all of us, for all of us. We envision a world that is driven by purpose, one that combines and amplifies radical ideas and hard work from those whose voices typically go unheard. A world where justice and equality for women, Black people, indigenous communities, people of color, working families, for everyone is a priority. Push is one of the Solutions Project's closest fighter fund grantee partners because you fight for all the things we know we need and you need, not only to survive, but to thrive. Push Buffalo doesn't just push back, you push forward. Security, prosperity, and justice for all, these are the pillars of a people's movement. Push is a leader in this movement, not only in Buffalo, but on the national scale. The work you're doing is changing the game, and we are all cheering you on. This much is clear. There has never been a more apt time in our entire history to double down on our efforts to ensure your vision, our vision, is realized. So, let's keep going. Use your wallets, use your voices, use your vote to invest in a future full of promise. Now is the time to create that future we want. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So on behalf of everyone at the Solutions Project, I thank you wholeheartedly. Have a great night.
Next, we have Cameron Russell. She is an international supermodel and leader in the fashion industry. She is also an activist, a writer, and organizer working on behalf of community justice nationwide. A Columbia University graduate with honors, Cameron won the 2018 Harper's Bazaar Woman of the Year Award, the GCFA's Changemaker Award, and has been honored for her work to combat sexual harassment in the workplace, among other causes. Her work has been recognized by the New York Times, The Guardian, CNN, NPR, and more. She is also a big fan and supporter of Push Buffalo, and we are excited to welcome her here with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Milk. Thank you, Rahwa. Thank you, everyone in the Push community. I wish I was in the room with y'all today. I really appreciated Milk taking that second because Nyasia's words were so powerful, and really just being in the same space with everyone in the Push community that's doing such powerful and beautiful work is an honor. So Push asked me to talk a little bit about my own journey into activism, and I hope, at least for some of you, it feels like a kindred story because there really is a place for all of us in the movement and in this work. So when I started out, like maybe lots of young people, I was an activist sort of as an extracurricular, so going to marches after school and going to protests and Occupy and Black Lives Matter. And then I realized that actually all those things that I thought were separate things, being a model, access to wealth, access to media, my community in fashion, my community at school, all those things were actually where I was supposed to be doing the work. I was supposed to be organizing people with wealth. I was supposed to be getting out the vote by calling my white family in Florida. I was supposed to be organizing my coworkers, even though so many people, including myself, really subscribe to that reputation that women in fashion are disposable or silly or stupid. But in fact, together we are so powerful. And I think right now, what I am feeling so deeply, it's just beautifully summarized in a poem by Eduardo Corral. He writes, "Some Mesoamerican elders believe there's a fifth direction, not the sky or the ground, but the person right next to you." And that sentiment is really carrying me right now in this very difficult moment where, everything is failing. All our big systems are failing us. And if you are like me, I hope that you are also just feeling so uncomfortable in that spot of, having access to health and safety is now a matter of having access to money. And that's just a horrible spot for us to be. And we want to join everybody who's doing the work to change that and be in community together. So since I met Rahwa 4 years ago, the work of PUSH has inspired me so profoundly. I felt like prior to meeting PUSH and to really meeting folks on the front line of climate chaos, I felt like reading about climate justice almost was reading about science fiction or fantasy, and seeing what the PUSH community has again and again dreamed and then made possible really just challenges that and makes a space where all of us can really pull that fantasy closer. You know, the way that PUSH make sure that we're bringing our disabled family with us, bringing our family struggling with addiction, bringing our children and our elderly, making sure that our humanity is central to the work. PUSH makes that real. And I hope that in 15 years from now, when we're celebrating 30 years, that has inspired not just everyone in New York, but in the nation and the world to make our fantasies a reality. If you're on this call, I know that you are just profoundly disturbed by the lack of political action on a federal scale. And you also know that what we can do in our communities and what we can do ourselves, this is a moment where we evaluate our place in this broader reckoning of systemic racism and climate chaos and extractive racial capitalism. This is a moment that's making everything clear, and we have a choice. We get to be complicit in harm, or we get to join others in ending it. So if you have funds to spare right now, I hope you will take out that card that PUSH might have sent you, or go onto the pushbuffalo.org website, or click the link right now in the chat box and donate. And if you can, make an ongoing donation so that PUSH can spend less money on raising money and plan bigger and make their work real sustainable. Of course, your donation will be tax deductible. And if this is your first time joining us, if you're new to PUSH, thank you so much for making your first donation. The entire organization is so grateful for your time and your heart. And if you've given in the past, you know what your support means and what it's made possible. And so thank you for that continued support and commitment. It's an honor to be here and witness this work and be a small part of it this morning.
Hello, my name is Dawn Wells-Clyburn, Deputy Director of Administration here at PUSH Buffalo. We're pleased that you could make it here today for our Building Blocks Breakfast, our annual fundraiser. On behalf of PUSH Buffalo staff, we'd like to extend a thank you to the table captains and the development committee for all of their work. We'd like to extend a special thank you to Laura Mangan, who went above and beyond her role as a development committee member to help us hammer out all of the details of the day. We couldn't have done it without you, Laura. Thank you. I'd also like to extend a very special thank you to all of the event sponsors: M&T Bank, Ellen Daly, R&P Oak Hill, Rigidized Metals, Independent Health, Foyt Albert Associates, Flaherty and Salmon, CPA, and Critical Impact Consulting. We sincerely appreciate your financial support, and we couldn't have done it without you. Thank you.
I just want to take a quick second too and thank Karaman for joining us today. Your word's awesome. Thank you so very, very, very much.
We also wanted to stop and take a moment and honor two incredible leaders that we lost this year, Lorna C. Hill and Cecil Corbin Mark.
I was asked to say a couple words about my mom, and I actually just want to thank everybody for all of the love that they sent to us as we went through my mom's transition. And I would also like to tell you that the work that you're doing and those who have been here for many years fighting the good fight beside her, that she was in the fight to the last moment and loves you and thanks you as well. Thank you so very much for your stories and continuing to spread her legacy. Thank you.
Cecil was one of the most recognized and respected leaders in the climate justice movement and for Black liberation. He was the Deputy Director of We Act for Environmental Justice. He's been a comrade, and more than that, a great friend and brother to many of us. He's one of the most dynamic and humble people that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting and working with. Both Lorna and Cecil were cut from the same cloth, committed warrior sages. We will honor them both by continuing in their legacy to fight for justice and do it through revolutionary acts of love.
Ms. Real Genius, how you feeling? Special act coming up for you, ladies and gentlemen. This young man has really got it going on. I saw him earlier today, and he makes it pop off. Let's go.
Appreciate you, DJ. How y'all doing today? You doing good? This next song is from my album, which released a year ago this month. It's called Melanincholy. It stands for the pensive sadness that comes with being black or brown. This next song is called Survive 716. Yeah, can you bring it back, please? One more thing, free Puerto Rico. I've been dealing with so much, I don't know how I'm gonna survive. I've been dealing with so much, I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Yo. Trapped in the city, animal in a cage. Ain't no way to break out, I'm channeling my rage into my music, but it only do so much. Writing little poems, can't talk to the grown-ups, cause they hurt just as much, if not worse. Mom always sobbed, Kalana pen in her purse. Dad at the job, killing his time on earth while I'm perched in my room, writing the perfect verse. The kids in the school don't like me, nah. The kids on the block try to fight me, even got some fam acting shiesty. They call my curly hair mud blood like Hermione. So I just stick to my lonely, keep my heart colder than them Christmases with no heat. But mom and dad still make sure we have presents under those trees, cause when you don't got nothing, you pray that love gon' pay those fees. The way that I was raised is exactly why I make those dreams. To be ever I want, kid. I'm gonna be iconic. I'm gonna be iconic. I've been dealing with so much, I don't know how I'm gonna survive. I've been dealing with so much, I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Hey. Yo, peace and love to everybody we lost this year. You know what I'm saying? It's hard out there, but make sure everybody around you knows you love them. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a welfare royalty, 3 generations. Only erasement, only inspiration. I'm gonna be a legend, no one even worry. It's okay, life pass you in a hurry. My city looking scary. It's okay, cause you gon' pray and it's gon' be alright. I do it every morning, every night. I sit inside of the corner and I just side right, and it's okay. We gon' do okay and we gon' be just fine. It's gon' be divine, and I just know that in time God gon' bless us, God gon' bless us. No arresting. Everybody looking, and it's okay, cause you know that I be cooking up the music that you gon' need. I don't know how I'm gon' survive. I've been dealing with so much, I don't know how I'm gon' survive. 716, ain't nobody ever gonna sever my dreams. 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 If you'd like to hear the real official song, it's on Bandcamp and Melanincholy, The Miserable Genius. Peace, love, and happiness.
All right, The Miserable Genius, y'all. Hello, everyone. My name is Nicolalita Rodriguez, and I am the chair of the board of directors here at Push Buffalo. On behalf of the board and everyone here at Push, we'd like to express our gratitude for you taking the time out of your day to be here with us, near and far, in exhaustion, in grief, in anxiousness, in excitement, and in hope. 2020 has been a year like no other. For us here at Push, as you've heard and likely experienced in your own lives, this year has brought about immense uncertainty, fear, loss, separation, and scarcity. Though somehow, through it all, we've maintained our sense of community. We've pivoted as needed, creating online and hybrid platforms, responded to community needs through mutual aid, taking care of frontline community members as abusive systems of power continue to cause us harm, continue to grow our campaigns, and adjust to a new normal in order to keep our communities safe and continue this ever important work. This has been far from easy. And yet here we are, thanks in large to your continued support. Together, we have made it possible to be here today. Amidst a pandemic, a global uprising for Black lives, fight for climate justice, and our individual and collective exhaustion, just days from our presidential election. We are only as strong as the roots which sustain us. Thank you, each of you, for it is your support that has kept us rooted throughout this storm that is 2020, and that will aid us as we begin to rebuild our communities once the storm has passed. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody out there for joining us. Don't forget to check out that donation link in the chat box. We will also send follow-up emails to everybody that attended today. Thank you for joining us. I'm DJ Milk. What a journey we've been on today, right? Let's be the light. I'm going to take you out strong. You know how I do. That's right. Hope you're still feeling like you're in a given mood. We working it out. Y'all the light out there. I love you. I miss partying with ya. Come on.